Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. This is TV47 and News Tonight. It is the 9th day of February 2023. To our top 3 stories lined up for you. Tonight,
we want to challenge the scripters of last night's drama to show Kenyans a single photograph or a video recording of the officers they purport.
The government says former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i stage-managed his arrest. This as Matiang'i gets anticipatory bail to stop his arrest.
These members who have defected from Azimio coalition need to resign their positions.
You are traitors. Azimio One Kenya leader Raila Odinga calls MPs who met President William Ruto at State House. Azimio One Kenya expels rebel members.
Shida yenye tuko nayo tunajifanyia na tuna nguvu ya kuwa na vifaa yenye tatosha kufanya kazi yetu. Kwa hiyo vile wenzangu walisema lazima serikali isonge karibu na sisi na itusaidie. 2 people dead following Kakamega mine tragedy. Several others continue to receive treatment in hospital. Good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Catherine Simaloi is on the sign language docket and I'm used to list. Only Eringita, you can always talk to us on our socials below your screens. Now to top story this particular night. Former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has obtained an anticipatory bail following claims of his imminent arrest. This as the government refuted claims that police officers raided Matiang'i's home with the intention of arresting him, saying Matiang'i stage-managed his arrest. And as Mike Gongo reports, police officers are seeking to collect CCTV footage and seeking to collect and other witnesses' statements to unravel what transpired on Wednesday night.
In the wee hours of Wednesday night at the residence of former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, it is business unusual.
We are dealing with an illegal regime, a regime that usurps power against the will of the people of Kenya.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga visited Matiang'i's home following claims that armed police officers in civilian attempted to arrest Dr. Matiang'i. Odinga termed the incidents as unacceptable.
The people of Kenya will not take this lying down. The people of Kenya must resist imposition of a legal regime on them, which now want to use the power of the police to terrorize this country. It is completely unacceptable. It will not be accepted.
By then, it is alleged unknown men had already left as Matiang'i met with his lawyers in his house. Lawyer Dunstan Omari says the former CS had alerted his lawyers and they rushed there to witness what was happening.
People could not identify the document called a search warrant or a warrant of arrest against the CS.
According to the lawyers, their client had received credible information from officers from the Kenya Police that they were under express instructions to arbitrarily arrest him.
So our client is so much anxious. He has full anxiety together with his family as to what may happen next.
We cannot allow, since some people feel that during his regime they suffered some pain, they suffered some strain due to his actions or inaction, whichever they are.
We are ready all to go to court. I've been there and I know. I've been in cells, I've been detained, I've been shot. Have dug graves. I'm used to. If you want, come for me.
In their application, the lawyers cited the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the National Police Service, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, the National Police Service Commission, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and the Law Society of Kenya as respondents in the matter.
The arbitrary way of doing things is a thing of the past. This is something we battled in 2010 after the promulgation of the new constitution, where everybody is under the law and under the guidance that the law gives. The CS is ready to defend himself, to record a statement anywhere the government wants to do.
In his response, Honorable Justice K. Kimondo said for the avoidance of doubt, the first and sixth respondents are at liberty to investigate any criminal conduct by the appellant. However, they shall not arrest or detain him.
Article 232 of the Constitution, no public servant can be held liable when discharging his duties. The CS was in charge of security. He was in charge of coordination. All ministries were gravitating around his office.
Even the current CSs that are serving do not live with fear that once their time ends in office, that they shall be accosted by the regimes to come. So I think it is not only good for Matiang'i, but it is good for the country even moving forward.
According to Matiang'i's lawyers, Ruaraka land case involving Fred Matiang'i and Huduma Namba saga are among the reasons why their client was at loggerheads with President William Ruto's government.
If it is Ruaraka land issue, let him be, whoever has evidence, let the CS be arrested. If it is an allegation that he hived over 1,000 acres of land and gave it to Kisses around Wilson Airport, let him be arrested over that matter. If it's the allegation of the land that he hived land from the Masai Mara National Park and granted it to the former head of state, let him be arrested and be taken to court.
All said and done, who raided Matiang'i's residence?
If indeed they were not police officers, why hasn't the police come to the scene of the crime? If they are not police officers, then who were they? Whose responsibility is it?
Matiang'i's lawyers also revealed that the government had allegedly moved to court seeking a miscellaneous application at the Kahawa Law Court. The application, lawyer Dunstan Omari says, sought to detain Matiang'i for 60 days, but Director of Public Prosecutions Nordin Haji confirmed to them that there were no criminal charges presented to him.
Either the government has backed off from filing that application, or if it has been filed, it has been hidden, and the government has confirmed that there is no such application.
Police officers from Langata Police Station led by OCPD Monica Kimani, however, visited Matiang'i's current residence to review allegations made by the former CS. The officers were seeking to collect CCTV footage and other witness statements. The former Interior CS has since obtained anticipatory bail to stop his impending arrest. In his application, Fred Matiang'i argues that Monday night raid in his home here in Karen was a political witch hunt by President William Ruto's government, pending investigation by police officers. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Karen Estate, Nairobi.
And allegations of attempts to arrest the former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i continue to elicit mixed reactions, with the government now distancing itself from the raid. Further, leaders allied to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance are mounting pressure to Matiang'i and his Azimio leaders to produce any evidence of the alleged raid, terming the incident as a failed scripted drama. However, Azimio leaders insist that they won't allow Ruto's administration to return the country to the dark days of dictatorship. Here is Elizabeth Mutuku with more.
Hours after police allegedly raided the home of the former Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, the government has distanced itself from the incident, stating that the police didn't in any way raid the former CES home. In their statement to the media, Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome, DCI boss and Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki termed the incident as fake, stating that they respect the rights of the ex-cabinet secretaries as stipulated by the Constitution, and the security docket won't involve itself or play politics.
Interview several witnesses, and our preliminary findings have uncovered evidence of a well-coordinated and deliberate attempt to spread false information and incite public fear. Unfortunately, spearheaded by a person of the standing of a former Interior Security Cabinet Secretary. According to our investigations, ladies and gentlemen, Activity began building up at the Dr. Matiang'i's home on Wednesday, 8th of February 2023 at 8 p.m. Kenyan time.
This comes as the Kenya Kwanza MPs led by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah piled pressure to the former Cabinet Secretary to produce evidence of the police raid. Without mincing words, the legislators termed the incident as a well-orchestrated script of sympathy-seeking.
See the policemen. We want to challenge the scripters of last night's drama to show Kenyans a single photograph or a video recording of the officers they purport.
Further, Ichung'wah said the move by Matiang'i was aimed at disrupting a planned meeting of Kisii leaders with President William Ruto.
On the roadside. We want to ask Raila Odinga, because he had his phone, and the scripter of this drama had his phone there, to share with Kenyans one photograph, one video, or anything they have of any officers that were around Matiang'i's house.
On the same breath, Azimio leaders condemned the last night's incident, saying they won't be intimidated, allaying fears of former CSs being targeted by the Kenya Kwanza government.
There is the attempt to intimidate. You are the voices of the people. If you don't speak out, the dark days are upon us. In fact, what we are seeing is like those of you who are students of European history are like the days of the reign of terror by the Jacobins.
Earlier today, Kisii and Nyamira residents took to the street to condemn the raid.
Mimi sina mengi, lakini naomba serikali ende pore pore. Uongozi yako President Ruto, uongozi wako ende pore pore.
As back and forth ensues within the political class on whether police raided the home of former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i. This is, however, expected to fuel more rumbles within the political class in the coming days. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47, Palm Bidings, Nairobi.
Now tonight, the Azimio coalition has cracked the whip on rebel MPs who visited President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi, seeking their expulsion. The Orange Democratic Party, ODM, has already written to the party's 7 MPs who visited the president at State House, Nairobi. And as Apollo Kumar reports, Azimio coalition party leader Raila Odinga, in an emphatic tone during Azimio's parliamentary group meeting at Manzoni Lodge, called out the rebels as traitors and told them to resign on a day Lang'ata MP Felix Odiwuor, alias Jalango, was ejected from the meeting.
Staring at an expulsion from the ODM party, Felix Odiwuor, popularly known as Jalango, the only Azimio MP who met President William Ruto and attended the Azimio parliamentary group meeting at the Manzoni Lodge, Machakos County, was ejected from the PG meeting, where he had gone to seek amends with the coalition leadership, only to be removed in the presence of Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga.
When Baba walked in, one of his close security asked me to walk out. And that's what happened. I walked out, yes.
How do you feel? How does that make you feel?
I feel bad because, I love Baba. I'm a member of ODM, and I really feel bad. Yes. I can't regret meeting President because I'd gone there as my own capacity, and it's because he had called me for development issues.
Azimio's firmness in dealing with rebels was escalated by Odinga, who told the rebels to resign, calling them out as traitors for betraying Azimio's revolutionary cause.
These members who have defected from Azimio coalition need to resign their positions and go. Then secondly, you see a new dangerous phenomenon developing, that members of parliament are approaching the executive supposedly for development in their constituencies. What you see, these people must be seen for what they are, traitors in the cause of a revolution.
Odinga's statement was backed by a letter from ODM Party Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, seeking the expulsion of the 7 ODM MPs who visited State House.
So the days when members of parliament used to go and see Mutukupu Rais Nyayo ati ulituahidia sisi utaleta mradi ya maji hapa, utajenga low cost housing hii hapa, barabara hii itatengenezwa, kwenda piga magoti chini kwa rais alete maendeleo. Imekwisha.
Wiper Party leader and fellow Azimio principal Kalonzo Musyoka's plea to ODM to pardon Jalango fell on deaf ears in a charged parliamentary group meeting where dissent in the coalition was top on the agenda. Ahead of Mavoko's rally on Saturday, it also emerged President William Ruto had reached out to Kalonzo's allies in his Ukambani backyard.
Do you think these people went to State House today, the ones who went the other day, if there's an election to be called, would they really? Poor Jalango. In fact, I was looking for him. I'm still going to look for Jalango because he was here. We must also exercise tolerance. And somebody wants to say sorry, don't throw them out.
Jubilee, which has lost a huge chunk of its MPs to the Kenya Kwanza camp, maintains retired President Uhuru Kenyatta is still the party leader.
The people occupying State House were a rebellious wing of Jubilee. And it is possible that some remnants are still within Jubilee. We will go through it as a party. Hiyo ni kazi yetu.
With Azimio making good its threat to expel the rebel MPs, all eyes are on the affected MPs on whether they will resign, and if they do resign, can they make a comeback? Apol Kamau, TV47 in Machakos County.
Thank you for that, Apol Kamau. Let's pause politics for a bit. And Dr. Barbara Odudu, the widow of former Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, has given an account of what transpired 2 hours before her husband's demise on the 24th of January this year. Dr. Barbara spoke during the Requiem Mass that was organized in honor of the former Education Cabinet Secretary at Consolata Shrine in Westlands, Nairobi. And as Sylvia Nyongesa reports, Magoha was eulogized as firm, principled, and hard-working person.
For the first time since the sudden death of former Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, his widow, Dr. Barbara Odudu, has revealed what transpired in the last 2 hours of her husband's life.
2 hours, I turned from Mrs. to a widow.
Odudu, who now says she has come to terms with her loss, says she was preparing to leave for work when she heard her husband's distress call a few moments before he collapsed for the first time.
So I ironed to go to work. While ironing, I heard him calling me in a stressful voice. When I went, I found out that he had collapsed. Called the workers who were there, I screamed, and they come and he got revived, put him on the floor. When he woke up, he said, I want to see my son.
Dr. Michael Magoha, the son of the late Professor Magoha, urging parents to create time for their families despite their busy professional, business and academic schedules, saying his father was always there for him despite his tight schedule.
Family is the most important thing. You never know when you have time. He knew it. He gave me time. And he always did what he was supposed to do. A CS who still gave lectures at the university because, yes, my name is there.
A delegation from the government, led by ICT CS Eliud Owalo and his education counterpart Ezekiel Machogu, and another comprising of former cabinet secretaries who served with Professor Magoha, eulogized him as a faithful, firm and an uncompromising public servant.
On the 27th of October, as I was taking over from him, I confirmed that indeed Mzee was a true Christian because he had a rosary, one that he used to carry everywhere that he went, and also another one that he kept in the office.
He would not have allowed you to be mediocre in the things that you did or to take things lightly. He used to say that public service is a calling, and indeed it is. So when you're in public service, he would say, don't worry about resting. There will be plenty of time to rest in the grave.
Teachers, Professor Magoha's students and education stakeholders who attended the Mass lauded his contributions at the helm of the Kenya National Examinations Council and ultimately as the education boss.
Alinifundisha katika my undergraduate studies. Ikiwa nikifanya degree alinifundisha, hapo ni around 2012-2013. Na nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu hiyo kunifundisha ilifanya nikapita mtihani na saa hii niko katika chuo kikuu cha Nairobi juu yake nafanya masters in the same field, na yeye ndiye alini encourage niendelee na the same spirit.
I remember Magoha by the prof by what he did, and one of them is the way he interacted with the poor, the people who are coming from humble background, the students. You could see a lot.
The body of Professor George Magoha will be airlifted tomorrow to Siaya, where it is expected to arrive at around 1 p.m. ahead of the burial on Saturday. Sylvia Nyongesa, TV47 at the Consolata Shrine, Nairobi.
And we'll definitely be keeping you up to speed tomorrow and obviously on Saturday in Siaya County. And away from that, 2 people have been confirmed dead, while 8 others were rescued in 2 separate incidences after the mines collapsed in Shinyalu Sub-County, Kakamega County. And as Violet Oma reports, the rescue mission for the 3 who were still trapped in debris is ongoing.
A somber mood has engulfed Lubambo and the Machisiru villages in Kakamega County after over 10 miners were buried in the mines. In the first incident, 12 gold miners were trapped in a mine that was reopened 3 months ago when the walls of a mining shaft caved in around 2 a.m. last night in Lubambo, Sigalagala area in Shinyalu Sub-County.
My brother alikuwa ndani ambaye ametoka, na pia my son alikuwa ndani ametoka, lakini inaniuma kwa sababu wengi wanne wangali chini.
Hii site ambayo imeleta mkasa imelast 3 months lakini site yote ya Sigalagala mpaka kwenda kule imekaa 2 years, na ni site ambayo ilikuwa reopened ya mkoloni ambayo ilianza waliacha hizo site 1939.
Kakamega County Commissioner John Ondego confirmed the incident, saying that 8 people have been rescued and rushed to hospital.
Lakini kutokea leo nataka kutoa tahadhari ya kwamba uchimbaji migodi hata kama wanachimba basi wafanye mchana, sio usiku, kwa sababu usiku ni hatari sana kama hawa walikuwa wanafanya usiku.
Ondego sounded a warning to unlicensed miners in the area, at the same time banning the night mining. The locals, however, have called on the government to provide them with the right mining equipment, since mining is a source of livelihood for people living in the area.
Pia serikali wajitolee, watupatie safety gear na wapeleke watu wetu training ili wajue safety ya mashimo.
Na county government ya Kakamega isizi mambo ya taxes kwanza, tukae chini tusikizane jinsi hii sector tutasaidiana. Kwa sababu despite the fact ijakuwa devolved, lakini hao watu wanatoka county government ya Kakamega, lazima tupate usaidizi kutoka kwa county government. La sivyo mambo na ushuru wasikuji wakaitisha watu.
The rescue operation for miners who are still trapped inside the mines is ongoing. In the second case, 1 person has died and another rescued this afternoon after another mine collapsed in Emachisiru village in Shinyalu Sub-County. Kakamega Police Commander Joseph Kigen has asked residents living in the houses that have already developed cracks to leave the area immediately to avert further tragedies.
Wananchi ambao wanaishi karibu na hapa na tayari nimeona nyumba zao ziko na cracks mingi sana, waanze sasa kubomoa hizo nyumba kwa sababu wana riski maisha yao pia. So lazima waondoke mara moja kabla hasara nyingine itokee kama hii.
Those rescued are currently receiving treatment at Mukumu Mission and Kakamega Referral Hospital, while the 2 bodies have been taken to Kakamega Referral Hospital mortuary. Violet Auma, TV47, Kakamega.
Well, let's talk matters diplomacy now. And Kenya and Eritrea have agreed to permanently abolish visa requirements for the citizens to enhance economic transformation. In a meeting Thursday, President William Ruto and his visiting counterpart Isaias Afwerki agreed to collaborate and consult on regional peace. And as Andrin Kilemina reports, the agreement between the 2 countries comes after years of a diplomatic tiff.
Kenyans are now free to travel to Eritrea without worrying about visa cards. Authorities in Kenya and Eritrea have reached an agreement to facilitate the travel process by permanently abolishing the visa requirement for its respective citizens.
To facilitate growth in trade and connectivity between our people and our business, we have agreed to abolish the requirement of visa permanently, effective today.
In a meeting Thursday, President William Ruto and his visiting counterpart Isaias Afwerki committed towards strengthening connectivity and enhancing regional trade and security.
Any meaningful bilateral cooperation between Kenya and Eritrea will have to be seen within the context of the integrated region. We cannot achieve bilateral goals without the broader integrated region.
President Ruto at the same time said Kenya will with immediate effect open an embassy in Eritrea's capital, Asmara.
We have agreed to develop comprehensive plans for cooperation in various sectors including agriculture, trade and investment, air transport, mining, education, renewable energy, water management, tourism, the blue economy, and our regional integration.
The agreement comes after years of diplomatic tiff between the two countries. In 2011, Kenya accused Eritrea of supplying weapons to Al-Shabaab militants based in Somalia. Eritrea, on the other hand, was reported to have returned the Kenyan president's plane in 2015 when it approached the Eritrean airspace. The meeting between the two heads of state mark a significant turn in bilateral relations, further presenting opportunities for the two countries, Eritrea and Kenya, to explore areas of mutual cooperation. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, State House, Nairobi.
And to matters devolution, President William Ruto is expected to hold a meeting with governors from all the 47 counties tomorrow in Naivasha, Nakuru County. This comes just days after governors protested over a delay in the disbursement of county funds. Flora Limuki with more.
President William Ruto is expected to meet with governors from all the 47 counties in Naivasha and Nakuru County Friday in a bid to end the puzzle over the equitable share revenue. This comes just days after a meeting chaired by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua failed to reach a consensus.
When there is cooperation between the two levels of government, the Kenyan people are the winners.
The Council of Governors maintains the equitable share must be increased to 425 billion shillings from the current allocation of 370 billion shillings for the 2022-2023 financial year, with Treasury saying it can only increase the amount to 380 billion shillings, while the Commission on Revenue Allocation wants a 407 billion shillings allocation.
This administration is going to work with the Council of Governors in accordance with the law and the Constitution.
This comes as President William Ruto continues to charm both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza governors in what he says is aimed to ensuring meaningful development throughout the country. Head of state is expected to hold a mega prayer rally in Nakuru County Sunday, with pundits saying tomorrow's meeting is aimed at whipping the governors to ensure they accompany him to the Sunday rally. In the wake of all this, Azimio is planning to hold a People's Baraza in all the counties. Azimio bigwigs say rallies will address Kenyans' demands.
Zile tunaita People's Baraza. Na wao pia wamesema mambo mengi, hata pia kuomba kama inawezekana tuwe na mkutano wa People's Baraza hapa Nyandarua.
Flora Limuki, TV47.
Now, the number of people affected by the ravaging drought in the country in 2023 is expected to increase to over 6 million people. This is according to the National Drought Steering Committee chaired by Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa. The committee has further noted that more than 940,000 children are suffering from acute malnutrition. This as the government institutes measures to mitigate the drought situation. As carcasses of livestock lay on the ground, with millions of people losing their lives due to the ravaging drought that has affected many parts of the country. The National Drought Steering Committee, chaired by Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa, says the situation is about to get worse as the year progresses.
Almost 940,000 children are suffering from acute malnutrition, whilst about 130,000 lactating mothers are facing malnutrition. And we are aware that 2.5 million livestock have died during the ongoing drought. So about 65% of agricultural produce has failed in most of the ASAL counties, with most open water sources drying up.
According to Ndegwa, 4.3 million Kenyans are in dire need of food aid and humanitarian assistance, urging Kenyans of goodwill to contribute to the drought steering funds via paybill 880-990.
So therefore, I'm happy to announce that we'll be supporting, that we'll be partnering with the Kenya Defence Forces on a number of areas of a technical nature in terms of supporting our work. And the start of that will be supporting us to rehabilitate and repair boreholes that are out of repair at the moment.
On his part, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called for collaboration through the Climate Action Commitment to solve the menace of food insecurity and malnutrition.
While we appreciate the UN family and other national and international non-state actors for their support of the more than 47.8 billion Kenya shillings towards emergency response in the past few months, the situation is dire.
The second-in-command, who was speaking during the celebrations of the 45th Annual Lions Day at the United Nations headquarters in Gigiri in Nairobi, further underscored the need to have innovative solutions for the growing challenges brought about by severe climatic conditions.
While Kenya is taking immediate and a few long-term measures in response to drought and famine, we cannot manage the situation alone. We need children in school, otherwise they will be left behind. We need safe pregnancies and deliveries, but malnutrition among expectant and lactating mothers and children threaten to erase gains already made in suppressing mortalities in these vulnerable groups.
Some 29 now, 30 minutes past the top of the hour, taking a short break. On the other side, I'll be telling you more about the junior secondary schools teachers deployment. Stick around.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories. Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Tryson School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
Usienda nayo huko ndani, unaacha hapo kwa luggage ndio uingie.
Ni wacho kwa luggage namna gani nataka kutumia huko ndani? Nimekuja na hii gani ndio inatumika? Hii paketi ama hii kuchota? Kwani serious hii? Bwana wacheni mchezo bwana. Nini nyinyi?
Karibu customer. Hizi bidhaa unaziacha pale kwenye luggage ndipo sasa ufanye shopping kwa supermarket yetu. Kuchota ni kufanya shopping pekee.
Ni kufanya shopping.
Raundi hii Lima na Hitia Supermarket ndio best. Kwa mara nyingine tunakuletea chota kuchota na Hitia Supermarket. Ushiriki shindano la chota kuchota Tuweti, Bunawe, Kitale, Bungoma, Eldoret, Kakamega, Kisumu, Busia, Naivasha, Limuru, Nairobi, Thika, Nyeri, Meru, Chuka na Maua. Nunua bidhaa ya shilingi 600 na zaidi na utapewa raffle ticket. Jaza vizuri na utumbukize kwa sanduku iliyo mlangoni. Utakuwa umeingia kwa draw ya kujishindia zawadi Dahatsumira, pikipiki 21 aina ya TVS, 1130 school fees, TVS, shopping vouchers na vingine vingi.
Basi, ni huku. Saidia bibi.
Chota kuchota imethaminiwa na Louis Bacon, Savannah Juice Fruit Vial, My Choice Hand Wash, Zesta Choco Primo, Ketepa, Blue Band, Aramco, Oven Fresh Bread, Nivea, Silent Night Mattresses, Coca-Cola pamoja na Hisense. Shindano hili limeidhinishwa na BCLB permit number 002816. Sheria na masharti kutumika.
Chota kuchota na Hitia Supermarket, na hii motokaa gari smart kabisa inaweza kuwa yako. Unangoja nini? Ingia, fanya shopping yako Hitia Supermarket, uchoto kuchote na hii kari. Hii motokaa inaweza kuwa yako. Mtu anaweza pesa kwa busi.
Hitia Supermarket, a world of choice. You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Thank you for sticking around. You're watching TV47 News Tonight, your number one home of untold stories. And speaking of which, the Teacher Service Commission now says only graduate teachers will be deployed at the junior secondary schools. TSC Chief Executive Officer Nancy Macharia says the teachers will join more than 30,000 teachers who have already been deployed. And as Willie Dennis Njiru reports, TSC says it has put an end to delocalization, saying over 14,000 teachers have been transferred back to their home county.
My name is Paris.
The Teachers Service Commission now says it will only allow teachers who are degree holders to teach in the junior secondary schools.
We always have had a shortage. But these are the gaps we are trying to grapple with, including now taking the higher qualifications to JSS. And we should be able to surmount them as we go on and as we get more funds. The government is committed to keeping its promise on employing more teachers and trying to close the gap that exists so far.
TSC Chief Executive Officer Nancy Macharia says they are currently mapping out to ensure all teachers who qualify are absolved, in addition to the over 30,000 teachers already deployed.
We have asked all the teachers who do want to teach JSS and they're in primary and they have the right qualifications to get into that portal and register. And so now the next thing is to go back to that portal and see how many teachers have expressed interest in joining JSS. And it is only after that, and we can give you these numbers later on, then that we then start mapping them against the JSS and the number of schools that the ministry has mapped.
We have so many teachers out there trained but not yet absorbed. Probably because of maybe limited resources. And that's why the TSCCU keeps talking about funding. They'll keep employing more teachers as they receive funding.
The delocalization or nationalization process rather remains a bumpy ride, as only 14,733 teachers have successfully been shifted to their preferences. TSC boasts citing a delicate balance in the education aspect.
There is no county that will be left with it without teachers, and that's why we have not done all of them, because what we did is map them so that if we are taking 14 from this county, we map them against the next county so that we again take 14 from that county and take them to where we have removed these.
Many attribute the family breakups and teachers' low esteem to teachers' poor performance. Macharia expressed her willingness to ensure that her staff lived up to their quest.
A teacher who had a spouse who is a teacher, even if you are transferred in close proximity. You try to keep teachers as comfortable as possible. Of course, some will have their own issues there. Some will say they want to stay at home and they're adults. So you respect them, but we have tried to keep families together.
Reporting for TV47 from Naivasha in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Now, there is a national outcry by parents over high charges on learners joining Form 1 in majority of secondary schools in the country, with reports indicating that some school heads have converted schools into cash cows, with Haki Africa claiming that there is a great exploitation going on in schools through outrageous prices of items such as uniforms. Collins Lusweti with that story.
Earlier this week, Cabinet Secretary for Education Ezekiel Machogu announced that the government had disbursed a total of 16 billion shillings to all public secondary schools to enable smooth learning for all learners. The Cabinet Secretary has also indicated on numerous occasions that the government has put a cap on secondary school fee at 53,000 for national schools and 43,000 for county schools.
I'm happy to announce that last week we dispatched a total of 16 billion Kenya shillings, which went to all our public secondary schools, right from national schools, extra county schools, county schools, and sub-county schools, totaling a number of about 10,000 secondary schools countrywide.
Reports indicate that a good number of schools in the country have been exploiting parents through excessive charges on items such as uniforms, boarding materials, and stationery items, despite the government directing parents to purchase school uniforms from wherever they wish. A good number of schools in the country have made it mandatory for parents to purchase school uniforms from specific shops or within the school. Parents are now complaining the burden is too heavy.
And we are asking the parents that no child should be able to remain at home, that he or she has not been able to get admission in one of our secondary schools because we have enough vacancies.
Through a statement, the National Assembly Education Committee Chairman Julius Meli has already called on the Teacher Service Commission to take action against school principals imposing extra charges, adding that the Ministry of Education will be held accountable on the issues of fees, uniform and illegal extra levies. In a statement, he says, as a committee, we are really concerned. Surely we told them parents should not buy uniforms from schools. What is the Cabinet Secretary and his Principal Secretary, Belio Kipsang, doing about these issues in the sector? Are they toothless? Are they not able to implement government policies? Haki Africa Group has today protested over the matter, saying parents are exploited through hidden charges and extra levies in a number of schools in the country. In a report, they say they have received complaints from 11 students who scored 400 marks and above and have failed to report due to extra charges. 21 students who scored 350 marks and above have also filed similar complaints. Most cases have been reported in Meru County, Nairobi, Mombasa and Siaya. The group wants immediate action taken against school heads imposing extra charges. Collins Lusweti, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, lecturers at the Egerton University have blamed state agencies tasked with the oversight role on public institutions for the woes bedeviling majority of public universities in the country. The Dons, whose employer is among the most financially challenged institutions, say that the agencies turned a blind eye to red flags raised by the Auditor General. Chichi Josephine with that story.
The government is now urged to investigate and punish the persons responsible for the dilapidated state of public universities in the country.
The government should be strict in the way universities are managed, follow auditors' reports. Because if you come to Egerton, for example, there are audit reports with a lot of queries, year in, year out, but they go through. So this is how we are not performing well.
Workers at Egerton University have in the last 4 years been accusing the institution's management for failing to remit their pension deductions. According to audit reports, the university owes its employees retirement benefit schemes of over 2.1 billion shillings, which exposes it to the risk of collapsing.
We are troubled because of pension scheme. But where has the regulator been, the RBA? The law gives them power to just follow on employers who don't remit within a given period of time. But look, where are we? 4 or 5 years down the line, the employer has done, the regulator, RBA, has not done anything.
The government is now being urged to consider changing the management of the cash-strapped institutions, as well as privatize some of the public universities to ensure they stay afloat.
We are the only university in this country, despite being funded from the Exchequer. All other managements in other universities have been able to make wise use of the scarce resources, and they are at peace with their workers because they pay them salaries. But we cannot say the same for Egerton.
Egerton University Vice-Chancellor Professor Isaac Kibwage has attributed the current financial woes to a past deal between the previous management and the taxman KRA.
I think Egerton's case is a case that is an absurdity. Workers have not been paid their dues since 2017. Apparently, the same council and the same management has been running this institution. The question anybody who knows business would ask themselves is this: if Egerton University was your business, would you allow those such managers to continue managing that institution? And the answer is no.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
It's a sign of relief to the Kenyan farmers as the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock kick-started the process of distribution of subsidized fertilizer. Farmers will now buy a 50 kg fertilizer bag at a subsidized price of 3,000 Kenyan shillings instead of 6,500 Kenyan shillings. Lucky Hereno reports.
As the government continues to address food insecurity across the country, the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock has committed to avail a total of 500,000 metric tons of subsidized fertilizer to farmers ahead of the much anticipated long rains, which will ensure that the targeted farmers access fertilizer at subsidized rates. To implement this, the ministry has embarked on registration of farmers digitally to enable them access the subsidized fertilizer.
Yes.
So far, 4.3 million farmers have been registered in a process that is expected to end in March.
1,500 shillings. This is actually a big relief to our farmers across the country because the government has subsidized by a huge margin of Kenya shillings, 3,500 shillings, fertilizers from these stores. First of all, we have established a database of all farmers across the country. We have the data for maize farmers, we have the data for coffee farmers, we have the data for farmers of other value chains across the country. A question? Yes. So that we...
The targeted counties are Bungoma, Narok, Elgeyo Marakwet, Uasin Gishu, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, Nakuru, Migori, West Pokot, Nandi, Kericho and Bomet. Earlier in Trans Nzoia County, farmers raised concern about the new digital registration program, noting that it is not efficient and reliable. However, the ministry has refuted the claims.
Sisi tumepata focha. Na hii focha tumepata pia tunaandikiwa ya kwamba ni 7 days ina expire. Na laini tunaona hapa wakati tunakuja kwa shughuli za mbolea, laini ni ndefu sana. Na ninaamini hii laini inaweza chukua 1 week. Na hiyo 1 week ikiisha wakati huko bado huko kwa laini itakuwa aje? Kwa sababu hiyo focha inasemekana ya kwamba 7 days.
Sasa wanasema shida ni huko sijui inaitwa nini, mimi hapana jua inaitwa nini the system. Sasa mbolea iko ndio, na kama bado pewa mimi tajua namna gani tapata kwa njia gani. Sasa mimi niende tena leo nikikesho tena nikuje.
Initially the plan was that the voucher be valid for 7 days, but because of the slow in the logistics for the fertilizer to reach the last mile, we've since revised that. And for your information, maybe just as a point of correction, the first voucher was issued on Friday last week, so which means the 7 days are not yet over. However, we've since revised also and said the voucher which has been issued will be valid for 30 days.
If implemented effectively, the move will ensure food security in the country. Registered farmers can access fertilizer at the Kenya National Trading Corporation and the National Cereal and Produce Board stores countrywide at a maximum rate of Kenyan shilling 3,500 per bag of 50 kilograms. Lucky Riano reporting for TV47.
Let's cross the borders now, and on a sad note, dramatic and horrific pictures continue to emerge as rescue operations intensify in the aftermath of the Turkey Syria earthquake. So far, the death toll is inching closer to the 20,000 mark as more buildings get destroyed in the quake, described as the strongest since 1999. Elizabeth Ateno now reports.
A grim scene brightened by the smile of rescuers after saving the life of a newborn baby is what one encounters in Turkey on the 4th day of the rescue operations after the 7.8 magnitude earthquake that has now led to the loss of more than 19,000 lives. Another rescuer is captured saving the life of an infant who has been stuck in this hole covered with rubble for hours or maybe days. Fortunately, the child is still alive and kicking. In the district of Hatay, it is a rush against time for rescuers who fight to save the life of this old woman. An ambulance arrives just in time to rush her to the nearby medical camp, as many hospitals remain overwhelmed. That's the disturbing sound of a middle-aged woman trying to catch her breath. She has been stuck under the rubble for hours now. She, however, has a ray of hope since she is now on a mechanical ventilator. When night falls in some parts of southern Turkey and northern Syria, rescuers are forced to switch on their torches and continue with their search through the rubble. All they can hear are desperate cries for help. Some are fortunate enough to be rescued, but some succumb. The World Health Organization now warns that without shelter, water, fuel, or electricity, many survivors will not be able to stand the test of time. But on a positive note, 6 lorries from the United Nations have arrived at the scene to offer humanitarian assistance currently needed by 4 million people. Kenya, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Tuesday, vowed to join 70 countries in offering food and medical assistance to the affected regions. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
And surely may their souls rest in eternal peace. And from that, 2 months after President William Ruto and UK Prime Minister signed a strategic partnership to fast-track 6 grain projects worth 500 billion Kenyan shillings. One of the 6 investment projects is the 13.5 billion Menengai geothermal project in Nakuru. UK High Commissioner to Kenya, Jane Marriott, has inspected the project and promised that the government is committed to support infrastructure in the country. The groundbreaking is expected in March. The 36 megawatts expected from the project will serve 700,000 Kenyans. This comes as EPRA held its final workshop in Mombasa on the proposed increase on tariffs. And from matters business to the wonderful world of sports. The Minister of Sports has halted the construction of sports stadiums in the country to pave way for the stadium's inspections. Speaking during the Kirubia Stadium tour in Tharaka Nithi County, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba made it clear the construction has been halted to pave way for the inspection and ensure they meet the standards.
Make it clear that the ministry has frozen the development of sporting facilities for the next 1 to 3 months for purposes of just doing 2 important things. One, we are conducting a special audit just to determine how these projects were conducted, the amount of money spent and whether there has been value for money, and why some of them stalled, like Camarine Stadium in Elgeyo Marakwet and Wote in Makueni. What exactly led to the stalling of those projects, and why some have been done with substandard workmanship. We want to know, for instance, why a tartan track such as the one here at Kirubia, which was laid just about a year ago, is already peeling before any competition has taken place on this pitch. Even this Talanta Hela, it means just those 2 Swahili words. Talanta Hela. Kuweka hela mfuko wa wale ambao wako na talanta. Is about monetizing talents. Turning talents into money. And it is all types of talents. And the best talents will be progressed to a level where we can develop them further and then put them on the market for the world to see.
And youth from the coastal region have organized an every Friday night badminton tournament as one of the ways to normalize the state of badminton in the country. The mini tournament has attracted university students from all over the region who participate as a way of preparing for regional badminton events as they target the international tournament, with some taking part in the national league. The youth say the sport is affordable.
Our aim is mainly to push players to help them have a purpose for their practice, because we hardly have local events within the area. So the aim was mainly to introduce the sport, the event to them, so that we can always have weekly competitions, weekly challenges to keep us fit all the time, in order to partner with different sponsors and individuals to help us push the game forward, so at least to be able to facilitate players in their daily practice, weekly events, so things of a kind, national level, so that we can have even our fellow players around the country to be coming in with us so that it becomes more purposeful and more enjoyable.
Friday is always a special day because we always have Friday nights events, the one which are going on here, and it's fun. We enjoy a lot.
And the reason why Elite Excursions sponsored Friday Night Live was one, to get out the notion that this is a rich person's game. It is, anyone can play this game, and most of the people that we are targeting, not really target as such, but we have students from several universities who come and join us, and we promote them as such because we want them in their free time, like from 6 to around 9 or 10 p.m. They come and join us, they play the game, which is also good for your mental health and physically as well.
And from matters badminton to the football action, Victor Mwene scored 4 goals as the FC Leopard registered a 6-0 win over Ken Kenyatta's led Talanta FC in the FKF match played at the Nyayo National Stadium. Cliff Nyakea opened the scoring sheet inside 7 minutes of play. Victor Mwene scored the second and third goal in the 28th and 53rd minute. Nyakea completed his brace in the 65th minute, and as AFC Leopards seemed to be winning it with a 4 goals margin, Omune added the 5th and 6th with 4 minutes to the finals whistle to complete his haul, handing Ingwe a 6-0 win. Elsewhere, Posta Rangers were held to a 1-1 stalemate by Wazito.
Nothing went wrong. So, you see, I've got to explain what happens. Because 1, we don't have a field for training. 2, we have never been paid for a whole year. 3, recruitment is a very big problem, you get. So there is no player you can convince to come and join FC Talanta when they don't pay. So it becomes a little bit tricky for somebody like me to coach a team which is not being well taken care of. The team is in my hands. So the performance that you are seeing here, players are not motivated at all. So there is nothing I can say. For me, we expect more than that, because if there is no motivation, what do you expect from a player? A whole year since 2022 March, up to now, we have never been paid. We don't have a field where to train. What you do in training, it is what you'll get in a real game.
I'm very happy for today's performance. Apart from just scoring 6 goals, we played well. We kept the ball, the possession was good. The boys, I think they enjoyed the game, and that's the most important thing. That's the way we want to play always. So, really happy, really glad. Biggest score in a long time. So, and right now in the top 5, so it's good for us. We're in the right direction.
And my chronometer says 6 minutes to 10 p.m. And we are done right here. TV 47 News Tonight. On behalf of everyone who made it a beautiful bulletin, have yourself an exquisite evening. Catherine Simaloi